Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Interesting article coming from Fox News, where they report that a UN official claims that Israel doesn't have the right to defend itself against Hamas terrorists. Well, I wonder what kind of evidence she brings forth. I will look at title and I will point out. First, I will let you read it right here. UN official causes uproar over claim that Israel doesn't have right to defend itself against Hamas terrorists. So what do you see in the title? You see this thing right here. I see many things, but among them, the ones that I'm focusing on is causes uproar. I would like to know how many people. Mr. Kyle Morris, this is the guy who wrote this. Kyle Morris causes uproar. How many people were very, very upset? I was uproaring. I wasn't. Were you? Are you? How many? All right, maybe some people, were upset about it. But let's see what she said, right? And see if that's justification for the uproar or it's not. So in the very beginning, this Kyle Morris give us the direction which way you gotta go. That's how he is doing, exactly like I showed you. So you gotta cause this uproar. You have to be on that side because must be something bad that she said. Let's see what she said. Let's see if she's right about what she said. Don't analyze it with our hearts. Let's analyze it with our brains. The UN Special Rapporteur to the occupied Palestinian territory claimed this week that Israel does not have a right to self-defense against Hamas under, let me make it bigger here, under international law, right here. I wonder how is she going to connect things together, and accused the country, Israel, of committing quote-unquote war crimes. So let's see how she builds the case. That's how we do in our civilization. We just don't get angry, destroy the enemy or the person who we don't like for saying something, and then we say, well, now let's analyze if she has a point. I mean, in certain areas you do these kind of things, but I don't know, that's not right to do that way that I just showed. The comments from Francesca Albanese, is from Albania, or is white, Alban, came Tuesday during an address to the National Press Club of Australia, when she deemed Israel's right to defend itself, remember? And I'm quoting, non-existent under international law, as she took aim at the war-torn country for its, and I'm quoting, unrelenting bombardment of Gaza, end quote, and other actions. So she says that there's no such a thing as someone's right to self-defense in international law, under international law, as she took aim at the war-torn country for its unrelenting bombardment. So she says that. Now, this guy Kyle Morris, he would have said, actually it is law number under not international law, this blah 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 slash this year blah 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 says that if you are in self-defense, you are allowed to do this and this and this and this. He would have said it, but he didn't. He's gonna try something different. But let's say what else she says, because she says more. Now look, listen to this. Israel, according to Albanese, cannot claim a right to self-defense because they are not under threat from another state. So probably if you would be a state versus another state, probably the right of self-defense will be covered by international law. But she says, because they are not under threat from another state, she says, makes the claim, there's no international law covering that. Maybe, I don't know. And I'm quoting what she said. Israel cannot claim the right of self-defense against a threat that emanates from a territory it occupies, from a territory that is under belligerent occupation, end quote. Albanese said from the event in Canberra, Australia. So is it true? Is there anything here that is not true under the international law? So does Israel occupies the territory of Gaza? Is it true or not? From a territory that is under belligerent occupation. So is it true or not? Well, let's move on. This is the Albanese, Francesca. Nice dangling earrings. Move on. Now I'm quoting again Francesca. What Israel was allowed to do was to act to establish law and order. So this is what Israel was allowed to do. Establish law and order to repel the attack, neutralize whomever was carrying out the attacks, the ones, and then proceed with law and order measures, not waging a war, she added. Let's see if these guys are going to rebuke that argument. And Baya Fesky, director of the Toro Institute of Human Rights and the Holocaust. Which one? Slammed the one from the Second World War, or which one? Or we have only one? Slammed Albanese's comments, saying they go, and I'm putting hand in hand with all her other legally indefensible claims. I would like, surrounding the conflict, I would like to say, I would like to see her arguments, Mrs. Anne and Frank. And I'm quoting, starting from October 7 until now, no major UN actor has said plainly that Israel, if it doesn't say, if they didn't say, that's not the point. Is there anything under the international law? Let's say, she said, that is despite the fact that the UN Charter unambiguously declares every UN member has the inherent right of self-defense. Yes, another country or on your own territory or occupied. You see, yeah, that's true, but I want to know, she didn't said that just in a vacuum. She said, right here, she cannot claim self-defense against a threat that emanates from a territory it occupies, from a territory that is under belligerent occupation, because it says when she deemed Israel non-existent under international, she took aim at the warned country for its unrelenting bombardment. And it says self-defense cannot claim self-defense because they are not under threat from another state. So I want to see Anne, how she's going to claim, well, actually, the UN Charter clearly said that even if you're not another state, you can claim it. But she's not going to do that. I'm having a gut feeling, right? Right here. Unambiguously declares every UN member has the inherent right of self-defense. Okay, what about not against a state? What about an occupied territory? Is that... Now, Bayevsky Anne claimed in an email, and I'm quoting, in the deafening silence, anti-Israel, again, this is pathos, trying to, blame you, and okay. I'm trying to, under the titles of experts, all right, has no human child right, barbarity, who slaughtered the butcher, the Nazis said the same thing, okay. So, nothing related to the point Albanese made. It's not, can't claim it unless it's a foreign state. And again, Albanese's abhorrent remarks, again, pathos, not logos, remarks go in hand with all the legally atrocities. I'm waiting for that. Are given on UN titles and global platform. Okay, Albanese claimed Israel's action towards the Palestinian people in Gaza, which have been relentless since Hamas terrorism, are wrong. How many people need to die? Okay, this is pathos. I'm waiting. And she said, Albanese says this, very important here. In the face of all this, the international community is almost completely paralyzed. Why? Will she say? She said, I am being generous when I say the United Nations is experiencing its most epic political and humanitarian failure since its creation. End quote. And I'm quoting again. Individual member states, especially in the West, why is in the West? And Australia is no exception, are on the margins, she added, muttering notable words of condemnation for Israel's success at best, or staying silent in fear of restraining Israel's claimed right for self-defense, whatever that means, end quote, she says. She says the international community's positioning on the issue, Albanese claims, epitomizes how governments around the world have, and I'm quoting, so ethically failed to promote peace and security for both Palestinians and Israelis, premised on international law, the end of Israel's 56-year-old patient and the realization of Palestinian self-determination and freedom. Additionally, Albanese called for a ceasefire and the return of Israeli hostages, among other things. She also used her speech to defend the Palestinians, saying that they had been subjected to a, and I'm calling, violent structure of dispossession, confiscation of land, and forcible displacement. You tell me if anything she said is wrong. Is it? Now, don't use your gut feelings or your pathos. Use the logos. And you can, you can switch and see if you would apply the same rules to both of them. Anti-Semitism exposed. Okay, now it says, when it is widespread and systemic, it's not just a war crime, it is a crime against humanity, Albanese said. Well, it says, extreme serious allegations of multiple and profound branches of international humanitarian law. Whoever commits them demand rigorous investigation and full accountability. This is Turk said, that's another one. Now, did you hear anything that contradicted Albanese's claim that under the international law there's no such a thing as self-defense since Gaza is not another country, another state? I didn't hear the other person, Anne Frank, over there disputing that and providing us with the only thing they said, well, she's a bad person, she said this before, this is going to lead to a Holocaust, it's going to lead to that, it's going to lead to that. Nothing that was, okay, let me tell you where you're wrong, miss. Based on this and that, we all have the right of self-defense. She said that, but she didn't fall under the, yes, even countries that, and give us an example. What, United States of America, when they started Al-Qaeda, was that in international law? Again, because they didn't attack eventually Iraq because of the help of, alleged help of those terrorists from September 11. They attacked Iraq because they said those guys have weapons of mass destruction. Remember this, it's an imminent threat to our destruction. That's why. So they tried to make it legal under international law. They didn't say, we're going to go over there because of Al-Qaeda, we're going to eliminate it. Then they spread it to a war on terrorism and all that, and they always try to figure out a country that supports it. Not the, and that was not under their occupation, like right here. Well, I'm just making this point how this guy writes, Kyle writes this little article, and how, whatever her name is, Francesca, claims something, and the other one did not refute, in my assessment, what Albanese said, Francesca. And it's a fact that the international community is doing what it does best in this, paralyzed. Why is it paralyzed? Now remember, if you would have, let's say, you are in the year 1860, United States of America. So that's pre-Civil War. And you would have in the United States of America that at that time, you would have, something done to a certain kind of group. How should I put it? You would have, let's say, the blacks, the African Americans, would do something to a community, a white community. Do you think that the government in Washington, D.C. at that time, or maybe even prior to 1860, let's put it 1850, so we're clear with all the secession and all that. So let's say 1850. Let's say 1850. And let's say you got a group of African Americans. This is a scenario, not a reality, okay? And then let's say they do something, they attack a group of whites, an organization, and they attack them. Do you think that the government in Washington, D.C. would be paralyzed in acting against the black community? And I tell you why. Because they were not having power in Washington, D.C. whatsoever. So those guys had no problem going and taking care of the group that had no power in Washington, D.C. You understand what I'm saying? I know you understand exactly what I'm saying. So why are people paralyzed? Because it seems like the blacks have power in Washington, D.C. And that's why they're paralyzed. They don't know what to do. They know what to do, but they can't do it because that group of black people that now are doing that to that group of white people, let's say it, they have power in Washington, D.C. But since they did not, Washington, D.C. would have moved 100% on this group and do like this. So you got why these guys, some countries, especially in the West and Australia, because they're in West, are paralyzed. By the way, I don't expect this video to go through, and if it goes through, it's going to have a lot of questions from YouTube. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.